The Deputy President is being accused of undermining his boss by just doing what his boss said, that we should never forcibly, brutally evict the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the leadership of Nairobi business traders approached me sometime in March 2024 at the official residence to discuss multiple issues affecting business and requested engagement in the solution and intervention on these issues. Consequent to this meeting, I directed that short, medium, and long-term strategies be undertaken, coordinated by the Office of the Deputy President, to address the issues raised that cut across various agencies, including KRA, Kenya Post Authority, Anti-Counterfeit Authority, Kenya Bureau of Standards, National Police Service, and the Kenya Copyright Board. On 11th April 2024, the Small Traders and Government Agencies Technical Committee, coordinated by my office, held a meeting to discuss issues raised by the small traders, including Mudhurwa Market, attended by the Office of the Deputy President staff, in a supportive role in keeping with the draft framework of cooperation and engagement between the government, the Nairobi City County Government, and Nairobi business traders. Subsequent this, Mr. Speaker, is clear that my office have been having meetings with the Governor of Nairobi on various matters affecting the people of Nairobi, and hence the Deputy President cannot be accused of undermining devolution. Mr. Speaker, I've been accused of undermining devolution by allegedly holding meetings to fight alcohol. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, if the House took it that I say the House is a theater of the absurd. I was talking about this specific charge of undermining devolution by holding meetings to fight alcohol to be discussed in this House. That, to me, is what I thought that moment. If it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that would be the theater of the absurd. I did not attribute in any way by trying to demean this House that I sat for 5 years, by calling it the theater of the absurd. But this particular charge, Mr. Speaker, drug and alcohol problem in Kenya has been on the increase, and many of our youth have become addicted to alcohol and their lives destroyed because it causes them to drop out of school and start engaging in petty crime to look for money to buy alcohol. I'm a strong advocate for youth rehabilitation from alcohol and substance abuse, which I continue to encourage and support in order to save our future. With regard to alcohol control and regulation, I wish to state that I have held several meetings with the governors in Meru, Chuka, in Mombasa, in Nakuru, in Nyeri, and the efforts that President William Ruto asked me to lead in eradication of illicit brew has been very successful, and we have been working with the governors and county assemblies who have been developing legislation on the control of licensing of alcoholic drinks. If there is one program that has had the best working relationship between county governments and the national government, it is this particular program. I'm a bit emotive about illicit alcohol because I lost my brothers. One who was a medical doctor to alcohol, another who was a farmer to alcohol. I take it passionately. I don't know who complained about this particular charge. I have not seen any evidence of any complaint, and I have not had any person in Kenya complaining that the Deputy President is undermining with the devolution by leading the war on illicit brews and drug abuse. Whatever this House decides tonight and the other subsequent House, whatever happens to Rigathi Gachagua, whether he's in or out of office, this war must continue and must be won for the sake of our children. I want us to watch video number 4, RG4. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's very clear that the meeting had all governors, members of parliament who are present here today, policemen, everybody, and we are all in agreement that the war must be won. It cannot, but the deputy president should be impeached for leading the war on alcohol. Sensational statements against the National Intelligence Service, its Director General, and officers. Mr. Speaker, during the assumption of office, I took an oath of allegiance in the following terms. Oath or solemn affirmation of allegiance to the President, Deputy President. In full realization of the high calling, I assume as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, I do swear solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Kenya, that I obey, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of Kenya, as by law established, and all other laws of the Republic, that I will protect and uphold the sovereignty, integrity, and the dignity of the Kenyan people. So help me God. That is the oath that I took in Kasarani. Article 239, Article 3 of the Constitution provides that in performing their functions and accessing their powers, the national security organs and every member of the national security organ shall not act in a partisan manner, further in the interest of a political party or cause, or prejudice a political interest or political cause that is legitimate under this Constitution. Article 239, Article 5 of the Constitution provides the national security organs are subordinate to civilian authority. In relation to this allegation, I wish to state that the National Intelligence Service holds a very critical role in ensuring the safety and security of our country. They are responsible for gathering intelligence and share it with all our law enforcement agencies to ensure that the country is safe at all times. Consequently, when the country was caught flat-footed with regard to the scope and extent of the public's dissatisfaction with the Finance Bill 2024, which degenerated in a Gen Z protest, it pointed to the failure of the National Intelligence Service in carrying out its mandate. I am persuaded that the National Intelligence Service ought to have known beforehand that the public was completely opposed to the finance bill, and they ought to have briefed the president before the protests began, and this would have caused a change of tact by government regarding the proposed bill, and the protests which culminated in the loss of innocent lives and destruction of property could have been avoided. Hence, I expressed my opinion on this in my public media briefing in Mombasa, and my utterances were not any different from what happens in other countries when there is a lapse or failure by the intelligence agencies. The nation has witnessed unfortunate instances of several extrajudicial killings, abductions, and disappearances. I firmly believe that if the National Intelligence Service had acted diligently, these instances would not have been witnessed. Under the Constitution, the government agencies are supposed to be accountable to the Kenyan people, including the National Intelligence Service, and calling them out when a dereliction of duty does not amount to undermining them. I am also aware that the Kenya Kwanza government has been at the forefront in calling out officers who do not seem to understand their work. Recently, my boss, the president, publicly complained that there are some PSs and CSs who did not seem to understand their role. Please play for me video number 5, RG5.
On President Ruto has today described some members of his cabinet as utterly clueless and uninformed about the dockets they occupy. And in a sign of trouble for cabinet secretaries, the State House gates were shut for those who arrived late, with both President Ruto and his deputy Rigathi giving a sharp tongue lashing to the latecomers. And as Citizen TV's Timothai Green reports, the atmosphere at the State House, Nairobi, left little doubt on President Ruto's disappointment with a vast section of his 22-member cabinet.
morning in Nairobi, but the seats on the State House grounds came ultra-heated, particularly for cabinet secretaries. The cabinet members came here to sign performance contracts, but the oral appraisal of the day spurred anything between trouble and outright doom.
If you cannot keep time with your employer, you have basically dismissed yourself. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, for those who came late, who are members of the executive, I will be expecting a written explanation, and it should not include matters of traffic.
Punctuality was at issue, with some cabinet secretaries being locked out of State House for lateness, and from the podium, the president and his senior lieutenants were unforgiving.
Amejua, nikaona rais na mimi namjua. Nikaona uso yake nikajua hapa kimeumana. Sababu leo ni siku ya performance contract. Ile siku muhimu sana ya kuja kuweka. Na wewe umefika pale na hizo anakaa. Tayari amekaa na ni rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Wewe umechelewa ukiwa kuona nani? Who else are you going to see?
One of the things we need to learn in our performance contract is to beat the traffic.
For the 19 cabinet secretaries present, the atmosphere at State House progressed from bad to worse as President Ruto and his deputy Rigathi issued a blistering assessment of the performance of the cabinet members.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong. How do you run a ministry or a department or a parastatal if you have no information? That is the highest level of incompetence.
Those of us who came with the president from the political space and were his friends, and we assisted him to become president. Once he gives us a job, that is the termination of that friendship. The friendship with the president will be based on nothing but performance.
From travel habits to basic work ethic and even media appearances, it was a brutal ground zero appraisal for the cabinet.
Why do you have to honor every invitation that you have been given to every country? Your Excellency, at times we have tried to hold cabinet committees, we can't. 5, 6, 7, 8 ministers are out of the country. Some change clothes at the airport from one country to another. That is the truth. Why can't you regulate yourself? If the president was to travel and honor every invitation, he would be out of this country the whole year. You just have to decide what is useful and other things you can leave to our passengers out of the country.
So when you hear my deputy saying, find time, travel and see the people who have hired us, you know, go to different parts of Kenya so that you can get feedback from the public.
We have done so much as an administration. The information is not out there. Our ministers are quiet. They are called for TV interviews, they don't show up to say what they have done. And then the media have a few days because nobody talks for government. I would rather we spend more time explaining to the people of Kenya what we have done in our respective dockets as opposed to travel. And if we have to travel, let's travel out the country to where our Wananchi are and explain what we are doing.
And I remember I called CS Chelugui. I didn't find him, so I called his PS. And I found her. And I explained to her, I told her, look, the public is not understanding this. Did I call you or not? On Sunday. You know, I told you this is what the public is saying. Please do more sensitization on Hustler Fund Phase 2.
With a very public expression of disappointment in his cabinet, President Ruto has triggered speculation on changes in government as his administration approaches the end of its first year in office. From punctuality to work ethic and general performance, the proverbial axe could well fall somewhere. With the performance contracts expected to foster a culture of high performance in the public service and also ensure that public resources are properly utilized, it is also set to offer a framework for President William Ruto to reward performers and also institute sanctions on non-performers. Chamutai Goin, Citizen TV.
Mr. Speaker, President William Ruto, my boss, and I have been calling out senior government officials when they fall short of expectations. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service is no exception. He's not above the law. He's accountable to the people of Kenya for his performance. And I have had an argument that we should not call out those in the security sector. I would like you to play the next video where
The most incompetent Inspector General of Police, I think, in the world. The most incompetent in the whole world. His incompetence may not necessarily
Honorable members, that was President William Ruto as Deputy President criticizing IG Mutiabai, DCI Kinoti. Rigathi Gachagua has learned his job from his boss, that public officers must be called to order when they fell short of expectation. And I never saw anybody bring William Ruto here for impeachment for criticizing the IG or the DCI. This is a very unfair allegation. Mr. Speaker, it is also reported by media that the IMF has already warned about impending unrest during the people's dissatisfaction with the 2023 and 2024 election. Many of you will recall, Mr. Speaker, after the September 11th terrorist attack in the U.S., the U.S. intelligence agencies were massively criticized, and an inquiry was even opened to investigate why their intelligence agency was not able to detect and thwart the attack. All we are saying is that our National Intelligence Service is accountable to the people of Kenya for its performance. Mr. Speaker, conniving with cartels in the tea sector to block KTDA from implementing guaranteed minimum return. Mr. Speaker, I am yet to see a shred of evidence to that effect, and I have nothing to say. I have seen an allegation that we have not been able to do coffee reforms. Mr. Speaker, out of my work, coordinating coffee reforms, the Cooperative Bill 2023 and the Coffee Bill 2023 is before this House. I request this House after these impeachment proceedings to embark on those two bills so that the coffee farmers can realize the full benefit of the coffee reforms that we have initiated. There is another allegation that I have taken control of a local cooperative society in Madeira constituency. I don't know the name of that constituency, of that cooperative. It is false. I am here to see any evidence. I have nothing to say because there is nothing to be said. On the issue of shareholding, which I think members are interested in listening to, I listened to you this morning, and it was quite emotive. By virtue of provisions of the third schedule of the Political Parties Act, the constituent parties of the Kenya Kwanza coalition entered into various agreements, which were deposited with the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate for purposes of Article 108 of the Constitution of Kenya. The following were members: UDA, ANC, Ford Kenya, PA, Farmers Party, Chama cha Kazi, Communist Party, Economic Freedom Party, the Service Party, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party, Umoja na Maendeleo Party of Kenya, and the Democratic Party of Kenya. In accordance with the provision of Clause 3, Schedule 3, a power sharing agreement and development agenda for the certain regions of Kenya, I attach copies of these agreements, RG 32. All those agreements talked about specific regions. The leaders who appended their signatures canvassed issues of appointments to do with specific regions. Power sharing agreement between UDA and ANC and Ford Kenya, for example, say that the UDA would nominate the coalition president, the presidential and deputy presidential candidates that was honored. The president would guarantee the stature, the dignity, and financial and operational autonomy of the office of the deputy president, which I have been insisting on because it's part of the coalition agreement. The ANC would be allocated the position of the prime cabinet secretary, which has happened. Ford Kenya would be allocated the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly, and that is why Honorable Masika Wetangula sits here today. In accordance with Article 2 of the Power Sharing Agreement, ANC and Ford Kenya would have a 30% share is a word, of the national government positions. This drives my utterances about shareholding. It is embedded in all these agreements that are attached here for you to read. I heard this morning an honorable member saying that the deputy president said the people of Ukambani will not get resources because they did not vote for Kenya Kwanza government. That is not true. The deputy president of the Republic of Kenya does not allocate resources. Resources for the development of the Republic of Kenya are appropriated by the National Assembly of Kenya, where I am today. The deputy president will help the president to oversee the implementation of funds allocated and appropriated by the National Assembly. It is therefore not possible that the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya has the capacity to deny any part of Kenya resources because of the way they voted. The decisions on how resources will be allocated for the development of the Republic of Kenya are made here by the honorable members. If your area has no development, please don't impeach the deputy president. Don't accuse him of not giving you resources. You are in this house to make sure that your area where you come from is allocated appropriate resources because that is your job. The agreements are attached, therefore I don't want to go into them. Let me say my speeches on the shareholder issue were informed by the aforesaid power sharing covenants, which are founded on law, having been deposited with the registrar of political parties, and lessons learned from the well-known disputed 202 NAC power sharing agreement. Further, sharing agreements are a feature of government formation in all democracies in the world that provide for the formation. My pronouncements on the issue, properly understood, are not only anchored in law, but entirely harmless and incapable of creating of being construed as a basis for ethnic animosity, a danger to national cohesion, or a threat to national unity. On the contrary, coalition building has been one of the most important innovations since the disputed 2007 elections in ensuring stability, equitable sharing of political power, national cohesion, and fostering of national unity. Indeed, Kenya Kwanza main opponent in 2022 general election, Azimio la Umoja Coalition, One Kenya Coalition Party, was a political party consisting of 25 political parties who also executed a power-sharing agreement based on shares. I'm also aware that the Jubilee Coalition that executed a 50-50 power-sharing agreement between TNA Party and URP Party for 2013 general election. I have thus not violated Section 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion Integration, nor has this commission summoned me to explain any of my comments and how it can affect cohesion. However, notwithstanding the said power share agreement, upon election as Deputy President, I went out of my way, as required by the Constitution of Kenya, to serve all Kenyans regardless of their political preferences during the election or ethnic origin. I now produce the following video showing some of my speeches all over the country as marked RG Video 7.
We want to confirm with the people of Nyanza that the Ruto administration will serve all Kenyans, those who elected us and those who did not. Kenya hii kila mtu afanye kazi. Kwa sababu kila mtu analipa kodi.
Yeah. Foot.
I attached my video during the launch of the Honorable Raila Odinga's quest for EU chairmanship at State House, again as a demonstration of my embracing the broad-based government.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Government Presidents, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners and members of the Diplomatic Corps, Heads of Delegations, Members of Parliament, and all dignitaries present, good morning. Your Excellency, let me say this is a great moment for our country. What a day, what a moment. We are here, Your Excellency, as a country, to unveil Kenya's finest to go and lead Africa. It's a proud moment for this country.
The people of Kenya have been elected to a man by the candidature of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to be the chairperson of the African Union Commission. This is a quest that has brought pride to our nation. And I would like to tell the leaders here from Africa and the representatives that as a country, as we present the Honorable Raila Odinga to be our candidates, it is because Africa, our motherland, deserves the best. The passion and zeal of Right Honorable Raila Odinga in Pan-Africanism is well documented. Passion knows no age, knows no limit. In the person of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he joined the ranks of Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah in pushing the agenda for Africa. And therefore, to say, Your Excellency, the lessons of today are that Raila Odinga, Right Honorable, is a man of great resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Today, we are going to unveil the transformation of the Right Honorable Odinga from a national leader to an African statesman. And for us in leadership, we have learned great lessons of resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Someone may ask, why is the Rigathi Gachagua who has before had issues with the leadership of Raila Odinga? As a truthful man, I have nothing against it. It's only that we were competing for the same position between him and my boss. Now that he's going for a bigger seat in Africa, all of us, from the president, I, and the rest of Kenya, are winning. And the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, as a man who listens to the ground, let me confirm to you, I've listened to the ground, and all Kenyans across the political divide, across communities, are in support of your candidate, and we wish you well. Before I call Your Excellency, let me acknowledge the place of family, not just in our lives, but in leadership. I think it is a great moment for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. It's appropriate that I acknowledge on behalf of the country the role Mama Raila Odinga has played in the life of this great son of this land. Mama Raila Odinga, we salute you as a country for having been a very strong pillar to your husband in very difficult times, and in his worst moments, you have always been there for him. We ask families to support their spouses. So Mama Raila Odinga, as we wish you happy birthday, it is my hope and prayer that your next birthday will be celebrated at Addis next year. And if you invite President William Ruto to come and he's not able to come, Mr. President, I'll be very happy for you to send me to represent you in that great birthday. We therefore want to say as a country, this is a great moment. And like Honorable Odinga, I have noted with a lot of appreciation, my wife, Pastor Dorcas, is a very prayerful woman, has been praying for me and the President daily. And I noted from yesterday she has started in her prayer. And because our prayers work, we have no doubt that you will get this seat. Mr. President, it is now my honor to request you come and anchor Kenya's finance and embark on the journey of transformation of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from a national leader to a great
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President William Ruto has many times appreciated my people issues and has repeatedly pronounced himself. Let me have the video number 9.
Speaking of deputies, you have in the last few weeks named Mr. Rigathi as your deputy. There's been quite a debate, and I'm sure you know that, around running mates in this country. Perhaps this is a great time to shed light on why you settled on this gentleman.
Rigathi is somebody I've known. Rigathi is a very passionate leader. Rigathi is a people's person. He speaks about the things that I speak about. He speaks about ordinary people. He's concerned about what has to do with farmers. He's concerned about the things that are dear to ordinary Kenyans. And the nexus between me and Rigathi Gachagua is the people. He believes in bottom up the way I do. And that is why I chose Rigathi Gachagua to work with him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In addition, and almost in conclusion, I am not the only leader at the national level who has encouraged unity among Kenyans based on shared regional, geographical, and economic and other factors. I have attached several articles. Luya unity is not optional. Moses Wetangula. Ruto puts case for Gema College in unity. Mijikenda unity in the offing. Masai leaders in unity talks ahead of next year's general election. I have attached those articles so that you understand that regions uniting does not mean they unite against other regions. They unite for common issues, common values, and to strengthen them to join other regions for national unity. Mr. Speaker, the motion dated 26 September 2024, tabled before the National Assembly, makes the generalized claims that have committed crimes under national laws. Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, Penal Code, National Cohesion and Integration Act as anti-corruption and economic crimes. It is on the basis of the claim that it is said that the threshold of impeachment has been met. I'm not aware of any active investigations by